Hey everybody, it's Strict9 with Strict9 GP, and welcome back to another episode of my Out of the Park 20 playthrough with the Phillies. We're doing things a little differently this time around. After that last episode, we were playing so bad. I was like, well, maybe I'll just skip ahead. Maybe this time, instead of starting up after the draft, I would go a little bit further and start around the All-Star break and maybe go into the trading deadline and see if we can make some moves this year. And if you got a chance to see that last episode, it's like night and day, the difference. We started out really struggling. We were 9-14 in April, and honestly, we were worse than that in the first 2-3 weeks of the season. And then we just started winning. We had 18-10 in May, 19-8 in June, everything coming together lately. And we are currently just a half game behind Atlanta in the National League East. We've been kind of battling back and forth with New York there for second place, but had some good series recently against Atlanta and against the Mets, and the Mets have lost a few away from us, and we're really in contention again. And I feel like if we play this strong down the stretch, I think we're going to have a really good chance at repeating. And I look at the individual numbers the team numbers, but the individual measures here. We are solid at every aspect, better than just about any team I've ever seen. And it's kind of crazy to me now. It's like I made a few moves in the offseason, but that's not what's driving it. We got McAfee back. That's not what's driving. I'll talk about that in a minute. And I just don't know if I've ever seen this kind of balance from a Phillies team in this playthrough. I mean, we are first in 5 or more categories offensively, doing a really good job with extra base hits and runs and batting average, those kind of things that really lead the offense. And then in the pitching, we turned it around. That first month, that last episode, I was having questions about the bullpen, having questions about the starting rotation. They've turned around. We're first in several categories here, top 10 in every category, top 3 in most. So it's just crazy how well we've turned it around. And I wanted to start off this episode. I'm going to talk about there was a viewer who made some really good comments on that last episode. I'm going to go over some of the things that he said. Great advice. But we'll look at the individual numbers for the team, and it's just, even though there are some glaring moves I could make, I'm hesitant at this point, because when a team is playing this good, unless there's something that's just obviously staring you in the face where you need to break it up, I like to ride it as long as I can. But I want to look at a couple things on that pitching staff mainly. Two things. First off, the McAfee situation, and this is from one of the viewers had a good take on McAfee. It's something that I talked about last episode. Dr. Thrasher from Ontario Bay, I think that's where he's from. Thunder Bay in Ontario. But McAfee, as I noticed in the last episode, he came back finally after being injured for 2 years, and his individual numbers are pretty strong. Overall, I don't take a whole lot of stock sometimes in that overall rating, but he's a 3-star pitcher, so mid-rotation type pitcher. But his stamina was really low, and so I noticed in a lot of those first few starts that he had, and he started out really poor in April. I was like, he's not going to get past 4 or 5 innings, so I don't know if this guy's going to be a good option as a starter. But then, like the rest of the team, he started turning it around. If you look at where he's at now, he's 6 wins, on pace for 12 in 17 starts. If I look at his splits, he had 5 starts in June, 24 innings, so just under 5 an inning, or 5 an outing. And then July, 1 start, 7 innings. A couple times here through this last 2.5 months, he's given me like 8 innings. So once again, like I like I was talking about, when the team's on this kind of a run, I'm hesitant to move this guy. I think I'm going to ride him out a little longer, even though Dr. Thrasher had some great ideas. I think that was good advice. It might be time to move this guy to the bullpen. I do have other options, both with Contreras, who started in the past, or some guys in AAA. But I'm gonna leave it here. Another thing about the pitching is just how everybody has responded. Zach Thompson, pitcher of the month in the National League in June, and this is why. I mean, 5-0 record in 6 starts, a 1.88 ERA. Started out rough in April, but only because we weren't giving him run support, and so he could easily be 2-3 more wins above this the way he's pitched. But right now he's on pace for 18 wins, was at 19, so he's having a good season. The rest of the staff, outside of maybe Dion, they've looked really good. Barbarossa up to 9 wins, a 2.73 ERA. This guy might make the All-Star team for his first time ever. And then Hadakayama started out slow. Well, he's now up to 24 saves. Has been hovering around a 50 save pace for most of the last month. He's looking really good. And then I made a trade for a guy who just came out of nowhere, really. Jared Davis. I needed some a lefty arm in that bullpen. I threw out, who did I throw out there? Luis Alvarado, guy with 2-pitch pitcher who wasn't really having a good start to the season. And the White Sox, for some reason, took him up and took him on. And Davis has been incredible since I picked him up. 24 games, 29 innings, a .92 ERA, 46 strikeouts. This guy has really saved the bullpen, I think, easily. But that's how the pitching's going. I expected the pitching to be the strongest part we had, and it's turned out that way. I'm hoping it continues. But then you look at the lineup, and not too shabby there either. I've had to call up Radeball from AAA because of injuries. The big free agent sign, probably the biggest free agent signings in a pretty weak offseason. Pat Dowdy, my second baseman, he's been injured a couple times. And Radeball has come in and played well. This guy's got good speed, good defense. Averages is holding up there pretty good at 288. He might be ready to start. Could be a situation where he keeps playing this way. I might be able to move Dowdy at the trading deadline. But the rest of the team, Pritchard looking really good. Warlick off to a much better start than he was last year. And the guy has been, in the 2.5 years he's been with us, 2 seasons, he's been mostly a second half player. That's when he really gets hot. So I'm hoping that that's going to be true this year. Vega's looked good. At times, he, last I checked, was leading the All-Star voting at 3rd. And then there's Paris, the guy I traded Ian Norman for. He was injured there early in the spring, and unfortunately changed his injury proneness rating to fragile. And he's had a few day-to-day injuries here and there, so I'm kind of worried about that. But he's given me the production that I hope to get from a first baseman, decent average, a lot of power. But it's bringing up another thing that the commenter, viewer of the channel, Dr. Thrasher, made about that Ian Norman trade. And the idea, and he's really right, that I probably undervalued Norman in making that trade. And if you look at Ian Norman now, this is actually, too, you have to keep in mind, Ian Norman he's about to come off the DL, but he was injured and missed, I think, 4 months of the season. So whether he would have done that with me or not, I'm not sure. But Dr. Thrasher had some good perspective on this in terms of how valuable Ian Norman was. I mean, he's definitely valuable when you look at how the AI sees him. My scout and the AI both have him at 5 stars. He's been a multiple All-Star. He's been right around 5 wins above average for the last 3 seasons. He gives you good on-base percentage, good average, but he's not going to give you the production I know that Paris is going to give me. I mean, I think when I was talking about trading him away in that episode a couple episodes ago, the guy is barely averaged, I think, in his career, and he's been a starter for almost 4 seasons. He's not even up to 200 RBIs, so he's not really even averaging 50 RBIs a season. He's never hit double digits in home runs. I think my problem was I kept waiting for him to develop a little bit more productivity-wise, offensively, and just didn't really take into account when you look at the catchers in the league, with the catchers that are available and free agency and what's out there. He is one of the best catchers, if not the best catcher overall in the game. And Dr. Thrasher, the viewer, had some good points about that. I mean, I get caught up in catcher arm, and, he's not going to be able to throw out a lot of runners, but if you got a staff with a high hold rating, that can even that out. And it's not as important, really, as a catcher ability, which, Ian Norman's above average there, and just what he brings in leadership and on-base percentage, average, all those kind of things. So maybe I did pull the trigger or jump the gun a little bit, but my reasoning was that this guy's about to get $20 million a year. I can't afford that, really, with the mix I have on this team right now. And I just wanted to get something for him before we got to that free agent period. and I'm hoping that, based on how we're playing, I'm hoping that's going to pan out. Now, the last thing that I wanted to cover from the viewers' comments, Dr. Thrasher, was Tupper. I should probably get rid of him. He's not bringing any value to the team. You look at that, he's got 1 home run finally. He's hitting 102 in very limited play. But I think I'm going to give this another few weeks until the All-Star break. I can't trade him. Nobody's going to take on this guy. And I don't blame him, because he's getting, $3.6 million, and he's not really going to be that kind of a player. But the Paris injuries still worry me a little bit, so I'm hoping that I can get to at least the All-Star break. But if I can't, I'm going to follow Dr. Thrasher's advice here. I'm going to release this guy. I'm just going to waive him, and I don't expect anybody to pick him up. Matter of fact, I've tried waiving him earlier when I was reading his comments, and I said, you know what, that's a good idea. I'm going to try it. No team picked him up. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the case. But for now, I'm going to keep him on there as an insurance in case Paris does get injured again. But what we're going to do on this episode, we're going to run through, get probably past the All-Star break, get up to the trade deadline, and see what kind of options we have in trade. Now, I really think, just kind of like in what I was talking about with Norman, I think, and I've mentioned this before, if you get in a long playthrough and out-of-the-park baseball, you'll see trends in terms of, are the teams winning based on pitching or offense? Is there a mix? Or are you seeing a lot of sluggers in the league? Or are you seeing a lot of 20-game winners, 300-plus strikeout guys? Those things seem to go through cycles. And right now, I think the cycle is pitching is pretty equal across the league. There's a lot of good staffs, and there's a lot of good pitchers out there. And the position players are really tough to get. Guys, at catcher, shortstop, even second base can be tough. I mean, Doughty was kind of, I think, unusual to have him out there in free agency as long as he was. But those are the kind of things I may have to look for when we get to the trading deadline. And, if it's a multiple trade, if it's a prospect that I have to make, we'll see. But if it comes to prospects, my best prospects are still mostly pitching until you get probably down to the low A, high A. I might have a few good offensive prospects, but I don't think nothing the AI is going to value a whole lot. Mainly I got pitchers. I got pitchers more than I know what to do with still. But let's go ahead and see if we can keep winning. We got after a really good series against Atlanta when we won 3 of 4 and got us up to a half game behind them. We're going to be on the road against Miami. I'm hoping we're going to catch Atlanta this episode. Let's see if we can do it. So first game with with Miami. And we're getting a trade proposal here. Another pitcher for Warlick. Warlick has come up several times already. And this guy's a good pitcher, a good starting pitcher, having a good season with Houston. But I need Warlick more right now. I think, especially if he's going to be hot. If you look at his ratings against right-handed hitters, that's about as good as you're going to see on a 20 scale. So I need to hang in there with him a little bit longer. So I'm going to reject that one. So now first game against Miami, and we lose 2-4. Drops us a game back of Atlanta. Barbarossa got the start in this one. Didn't look all that good. 4 innings, 3 walks, 2 runs. And then, Contreras came in. Didn't look too good in relief. Now game 2 against Miami. 3-0. That's what I hate to see. After having a good streaky run, now we're going to get cold. Thompson took the loss here, even though he gave me 7 innings, 8 Ks. If we have any kind of offense, we're going to win that game. And then game 3, can we salvage it? And we do. 3-2. Injury there down in Lakewood. That was a pretty good looking second baseman who I was hoping was starting to develop. He's going to be out 5 weeks. But how did that game go? Was it 3-2? So we squeaked by. Warlick looks like he got a home run in this one. Paris got a home run. And then Parker, who has, after having some hard luck starts in the first half of the season, first month or two, he's starting to get some wins. So he's back on pace for, maybe mid-teens if he holds out. And then Hadakayama, 25th save. Let's go ahead and finish this day, and then we'll look at the weekly news here. And we got another trade proposal. So all-star voting, we've got a few guys who have been getting some votes. Paris for one at first. I don't think he's going to make it with some of the other guys in the league. We got Pat Dowdy, who's still injured. He's getting some votes. Vega, even though he's kind of fallen off his pace, he's getting votes. Warlick, Bond, who's having just a great season. This guy hitting 368. So glad I was able to re-sign him. And then we got Zach Thompson getting some votes. I think Hadakayama's got a good chance too. So let's take a look. Nelson for Kansas City, pretty big injury for them. Kinster Jr., big news here. He is going to retire finally. He wound up going to New York in the offseason, probably using him pretty rare, maybe a DH type situation. He's going to finish with some good numbers. Not going to get to 3,000 hits. He might get to 700 home runs, 1,800 RBIs. I think regardless, this guy's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Good career from him. All right, so another pitcher for Warlick, and this was from St. Louis, so that's a no deal at this point. Players of the week, Chris Stanton for the Yankees, who's still playing really strong at 39 years old. This guy's had a pretty decent career. And then Joe Howard, the MVP last year, he's player of the week for Arizona in the National League. And we are currently 6th in power rankings. It looks like the Mets have stumbled a little bit, but Atlanta, they're back to playing hot. We're going to be on the road against Washington and Atlanta this week, so this is going to be a tough week for us. Let's go ahead and check the waiver wire before I get further along. Starting to get some decent guys up here. I say decent, but depends on how their overall ratings are. They might serve as filler here and there. Jamie Burnett, a catcher. Let me go ahead and send through these this week, and then I'm going to look at the options I've got on Tupper. So game 1 at Washington, we win 4-2. Looks like another good pitching performance there from somebody. It was McAfee. Gutierrez 2 for 4, drove in 3. Paris had a couple hits, but McAfee 7 innings, very strong, just 1 earned run. That's what I'm hoping to see from him for the rest of the season. We'll see though. Game 2 against Washington, we lose 2-3. A minor. I'm not gonna really worry about that. That's got to go. 6-week injury there in the minors. Dion pitched a great game, but Hade Kayama blew his second blown save. 3 runs in that 9th inning. Man, that sucks because Dion really needed that win. Now, game 3, can we win this series? Pat Dowdy, he's eligible, but I'm gonna send him to the minors for now. Give him a little bit of time down there before I bring him up. So game 3 against Washington, we win 7-3. So we did win the series, but Atlanta's still strong. They're still winning. Rate of ball looking good, 2 for 5. Bond 2 for 4, scored 3 runs. Paris 3 for 5. Pritchard 3 for 5. Kwarteng even 3 for 5. And Barbarossa got his 10th win, only 5 innings, but man, I can't believe how much this guy wins. I mean, you're looking at the 4 seasons he's been with us now. If you count, 5 seasons he's been with us, this guy's up to around 60 wins. That's pretty good for a mid-rotation and below starter. I'm really surprised how much I've gotten from him. And I'm going to take a look at the news before I go any further here. Chris Stanton, 4 home runs in a game. Man, he's got maybe another year on his contract. I guess he's wanting to end his career off with a bang. So we got a trade proposal here from Houston, another pitcher for Joe Clark, who I'm happy to keep. I think he was a trade I made in the offseason that I think has worked out pretty well so far. So I'm not going to trade him away. And then we got Houston, probably another pitcher. Well, they want Joe Clark as well. And once again, I think he's better than what they're offering. Miami and Cleveland, San Diego, Los Angeles. Ma traded. He was a free agent signing by the San Diego in the offseason. They traded him to the Angels. All right, so we're going to get the All-Star team here in this after this series with Atlanta. But let's see. We need 2 of 3 here from Atlanta. Game 1, we win 5-3. I hope this is Thompson. It seems like, it was his turn to pitch. So Bond 2 for 4. Paris 2 for 4, drove in a couple. Warlick 2 for 4, drove in a couple. And Thompson picks up his 10th win, even though he gave up 3 runs, but that's all right. I'm okay with that. On pace now for 18. So now we got game 2 in Atlanta. This would be huge if we could win this series. We swept them. It would be really huge. So I got the baseball card feature turned on. I use it occasionally, but it does slow up the sim when you get to the awards and All-Star team announcements. And we win game 2 against Atlanta, 2-1. So we are now a game back. Warlick had a good game here. Radeball 2 for 5. And Parker didn't get the win, but he pitched 6 1/3, just gave up a run. And now I'm going to finish this game, then we'll look at the All-Star team. And let's hope for a sweep. This would put us in a tie for first place. And it does. Oh my gosh. 5-2. We continue to play good. This is just a great run we're on right now. 5-2. Bond 2 for 5. Multi-hit game. He's on pace for 200 hits. With that average, I guess he'd have to be. And, he's already wanting to re-sign. And, man, I'm tempted. Although, it's getting a little tough with the kind of year he's having. I should have re-signed him earlier if I was going to. But looking at this game, he was a big contributor. Gutierrez 2 for 3, and then McAfee 6 innings, 1 earned run. So he's up to 8 wins now. Maybe he's finding the groove. Maybe that stamina is not going to matter too much. But boy, that was a good series. So I'm not going to look at the final voting, but I'm curious who's going to make the team, All-Star team from our team, because I think we've got such a good balance. It's going to be hard to say who's going to make it. But going down the list, I look at the American League first. Rocky Stroman having another good season. Really Cy Young contention once again. He's already won 5 of them. I've looked at his career several times. I know he's not going to put up numbers like like what we're used to seeing, I guess, in our not Cy Young, but Hall of Fame pitchers. I don't think he's going to get to 200 wins. It's going to be a stretch if he does. But you look at the kind of pitcher he's been and what he's done in his generation. I think he's got to make the Hall of Fame. I mean, that's a good run that he's been on. But he's back in the All-Star team, All-Star game. I'm looking through here in the American League to see if I see any former Phillies, and here's one for sure, Josh Gordon. He's got his power back. He's up to 26 home runs, already more than he hit all of last year, and almost as many as he hit 2 years ago with the White Sox. Got a good pace going there. I wonder if he keeps playing, he might hit to 500 home runs, and then he may be somebody you think about for the Hall of Fame. But after him, Jeremy Myers, I know he's been around for a while. Jeremy Dull, still having a good season. This is a guy who hit 400 a couple seasons ago. But then in the National League, we got Josh Bergen for Cincinnati. Jamie Burnham, who was a Cy Young Award winner last year for St. Louis. You go down the list. Pete Parker, Zach Thompson, Jared Davis, the guy I mentioned earlier who I picked up in trade. We didn't see Hadakayama on there, but we got 3 Philly pitchers in the All-Star game. And then offensively, Juan Paris, first year with the Phillies, first time as an All-Star. And Sergio Vega made it, even though he's struggling a little bit. I think he made it from votes. Steve Bond made it, deservedly so, I think. He's having a great start, but that's first All-Star game for him since 2036. So definitely liking that pickup. And now, so how many does that give us? So 3 offense, 3 pitching. That's pretty good. That may be one of the higher totals I've seen in a while for All-Star games. All right, so now this Players of the Week, Josh Atkins, another older player, is still being productive. Joe Markham, another older player, mid-30s for Pittsburgh. He was Player of the Week in the National League. And then on-base percentage here, Bond is 5th in the major leagues right now. Team rankings, we've got to, we did pass Atlanta. I was going to say we've got to be pretty high up there. We're at 5th. So right now, standings, we're tied with Atlanta. In a good spot for the playoffs, regardless. I think Arizona's definitely the best team in the league. Individually, we got Pritchard and Bond in the leaderboards for average. Gutierrez and stolen bases. Thompson and ERA. Barbarossa second in wins. Thompson up there for pitcher WAR. Hadakayama third in saves. And then American League, looks like the Yankees, who were predicted to win based on the preseason predictions, they're having a great season on a 5-game winning streak. But how about Minnesota, 60-27? They've got the best record in baseball, better even than Arizona right now. So they're looking good. Seattle's hanging in there in the West. Individually, Granda, who was the MVP last year, going to have another solid year, on pace for 60 home runs this year. Ken Goxie, a guy who's been around for a while, he's having a pretty decent year for Boston. He's a guy who went on his first 4 full seasons in the league, and really 5. He was averaging over 50 home runs a year, so he's a big home run threat, and he's only making $1.7 million, so it's a bargain for Boston. And then individually, pitching-wise, not seeing any outside of Stroman. I don't recognize some of these guys. But I'm going to look at the waiver wire once again. We do have J.D. Cochran, a former Philly, out there. This guy was really productive, and really he's been productive for San Diego the last couple seasons and off to a good start with the Yankees. For some reason, they're getting rid of him. He is not a good defensive player is the problem. And I think his offense, though, is really good. He had great rookie season for us. But just, I think mainly it was that lack of defense. But, man, I look at what he's done for San Diego those 2 years offensively. I wouldn't mind having his bat. But Minnesota's claimed him right now. I'm going to put in a claim. And that will definitely speed up some things in terms of getting rid of Tupper. So, I'm going to sim ahead here to the All-Star game. See if any Phillies contribute there. So it looks like Josh Gordon, MVP of the All-Star game. He was 2 for 3. And looking at the box score, American League won easily 10-3. Josh Gordon, what was it? 2 for 3, drove in 3. Looks like he hit a home run. And then for us, Bond was hitless in an at-bat. Vega was 1 for 2. And I don't think Paris got a chance to play. Nope. He was a pinch hitter and got a hit, 1 for 1. Pitching-wise, Thompson took the loss. Gave up 4 runs in an inning. Mike Morrison was an all-star guy we let go. Still finding some life there as the closer in Los Angeles. That looks like that's the only pitcher who went for us. That's kind of crazy. But, I just as soon save him, honestly. I'm not too keen on wasting a guy in the All-Star game. All right, so I didn't see anything on that waiver claim, so it looks like we lost it. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and once again, I'm gonna waive Tupper, and I'm gonna bring up. I'm hoping he's ready. He's gotten 5 starts down there. I'm gonna bring Dowdy back up, and I want Dowdy starting against righties still at second, but I want Radeball to get some play. I think he's going to be a better contributor at this point than Tupper. But that kind of leaves me, who am I going to put at first? And, man, I don't know if I have much choice. And I think, let me double check. Do I have I've got 25. Don't really have a whole lot of room here. Is it worth throwing a guy like Radebot in just to see? I'll try it. If it gets to be too much, then, You know what? I think Dowdy against lefties, he's still good. So I'm still going to put Dowdy in there against lefties, but I'm going to have Radeball every 4. And maybe I'll try Barajas at first to back up there. And then I'm going to have Radeball pinch hitting primarily, and I'm going to let him replace Quartang. And then almost finished here. I went Pat Dowdy, and then Radeball every 5th game. Although we're not going to see the DH all that much, I still feel like, whoa, that wasn't what I wanted to do. I think what I'm probably going to do here is, well, I said I was going to move Bras there. I'm probably going to go with Radeball as the DH against lefties if it comes to that. He doesn't have a lot of power, though, against lefties. So I'm just going to keep moving these guys up a little bit. Let him bat second. All right, so we're going to be up against the Mets now. This is going to be a big series. They've started to lose, but they're not out of it yet. So game 1, 4-3 win. Bond, Dowdy back off the DL, 2 for 3. Pritchard, Paris, Warlick. Man, that 1-5 was just great in this game. And then Pete Parker did not get the win. 8 innings, though, 3 earned runs. And Hadakayama got it in relief. Game 2 against New York, 5-1, solid win. And we're at 1 game up over Atlanta now. Pritchard 2 for 3, drove in 3. Good game from him. Bond still hitting. So I don't know when he's going to stop. He's 2 for 3 in this game. And then McAvee, 9th win, 6 innings, just 2 hits, no walks. That's going to be the deal. If McAvee has the control and the stuff, I think he can continue to probably give me 6 innings on average, 5 to 6, which I think will kind of eliminate that concern I had about him coming out of spring training. I mean, he's already up to 20 starts, 100-plus innings, and he's been stronger. I mean, he's on pace for a 5-plus wins above replacement. Big thing is he going to stay healthy? All right, so we've won the series. Can we sweep it? Game 3. It's a sweep, 3-2. Good pitching throughout this whole series. Paris was good in this one. Gutierrez. And then Barbarossa, win number 11. Leads the team on pace for 19. I can't believe how good this guy's pitching. And then looking at the weekly news, Gordon was hot even after the All-Star game. That maybe gave him a boost. He was a player of the week in the American League. Ian Hoffman, kind of a young guy there from Washington in the National League. And power rankings were 4th. So we are right behind Arizona in terms of the National League teams. 2 games above Atlanta now. What a run. I mean, I want to take a moment just to see how well we've continued to play. Each month we've gotten better so far in win percentage when you get past April. 18-10 in May, 19-8 in June, 11-4 so far in July. Offense is still hitting on all cylinders. Same with pitching. I mean, first and second in almost every category until you get to walks, strikeouts. Incredible run. And now we're going up against San Diego, a 4-game series at home. They're struggling. They've got the worst record in baseball, all of baseball right now. So hopefully this is a series we can stay hot. And nobody has picked up Tupper yet. So looks like I will be eating his salary. So we start out with a 2-0 shutout. Radebach got the start here, hitless, but Paris looks like that may have been a 2-run home run. And Zach Thompson, win number 11, 12 strikeouts in this one, 7 2/3 innings. That's another thing I'm seeing from him. He has yet to hit 200-plus strikeouts for a season. He's on pace for that this year, pretty comfortably. And now we got game 2 against San Diego, 6-4. Pritchard 3 hits. Pat Dowdy 2 for 4, drove in 2. Quartang 2 for 3. I may still have to see what's out there at catcher when the trade deadline comes, but he's adequate. He's been giving me probably what I expected. Dion got the win here, and Hadakayama saved number 30, so he's been looking pretty good after the All-Star break. Finally lose 1-2. Man, Dowdy was 2 for 4 in this one. Parker pitched a good game, I'm sure. 7 innings, just 2 runs, but no offense. And we have another situation here because, again, I'm pretty happy with the way we're looking right now as a pitching staff. We've got Mike Jackson 1 day away from coming. I'm going to have to put him on the DL. I was hoping I could trade him, but he was in a rehab assignment and got injured, and unfortunately, I didn't pay enough attention. So I'm going to have to put him on the 10-day, and that's going to push it back past the All-Star break. I'm sorry, the trading deadline. Man, and he's angry too. He's really angry. But I should have had him on the DL, but even so, he's not ready. He's a long way from being ready. All right, so game 4, can we at least win this series? And we do, 5-4. 2.5 games now up on Atlanta. Multiple hits from Doughty, Paris, Warlick, 4 RBIs coming off the bench there for Barajas. And McAvee, I don't know about this outing, but he looks like he was injured. So he is going to be on the DL. I'm not going to risk it. I do have options, so unfortunately Jackson wasn't ready to go when I needed him, but I'm going to... Oh, DeCluett's injured too. I think I'm going to bring up Dean here, and I'm going to put Contreras into that spot there for the I think Dean can handle, he can handle middle relief, and that should hopefully get us by until McAfee's back off. I knew he was going to probably have some injuries here and there, but we're roughly at the trading deadline. This is probably where I'm going to end this episode, but I'm really hesitant to do too much. Although, Atlanta, New York has really fallen far behind. They've had a really tough run this month. I mean, they've lost 9 of 10. We're on a good run here. Losing McAfee, that's going to hurt a little bit for the next couple weeks. Atlanta's struggling a little bit, but I don't expect them to struggle too long. I don't know if they've got any major injuries they're dealing with. 2-star reliever and a pitching prospect. So now they're in good shape. So they're not going to go away. I'm going to have to fend them off somehow. But what do you do? I mean, when you're playing as good as this team's playing, if I look at the trading block, I'll start there. If I'm just looking at batters, I'm not really focused on pitching right now. I mean, Centeno could help me at first, but I don't like his, or at third, sorry. I just don't like his loyalty ratings. He's still out there available, but he's just not good defensively. And, I think with Radebach and Doughty, I've got second pretty much taken care of. This guy, this thing about not having a DH, I mean, I would see picking this guy up and letting either Paris or this guy be a DH, but I don't need another first baseman if Paris is going to be there, if he stays healthy. What I need is catcher, and there are no catchers. This guy would be a serviceable backup, although he's looked terrible in the minors or in the majors. Same with this guy. He's got better. He's better defensively, but at $7.5 million, he's hitting sub 200. I think he would be a waste. So I don't really know what I'm going to pick up here. I think I'm just really happy with the way we're playing. I don't see any real weaknesses outside of catcher in this lineup. Even the backups now, I think Chris Benefield's given us some good play here and there. Eric George has looked good off the bench, and he's getting some starts in left field occasionally. And then, of course, the pitching staff. I mean, Scott's having an off year. He's the kind of guy who I could probably trade. If I threw Scott out there, I'm sure I would get some pretty decent offers back. So he might be a guy I'm willing to let go at this point, even though I've been really high on him. Picking up Davis, I think, solidified our bullpen. And, we got Dean and a couple other guys in AAA could help us out. So what we got here? We got a really good-looking starting pitcher if I just wanted to replace Dion and really solidify our pitching staff. Wouldn't rule that out, to be honest. If it's a good pitcher, Pat Hebert, even though he's fragile, he's a pretty good pitcher so far. For Toronto, we've got Soto. He's an upgraded catcher, that's for sure. This is a pretty decent looking offensive shortstop. There's some options here. There really are with Scott. I mean, I think I could really put us over the top pitching wise by trading him for one of these starters and just moving Dion out, even though I do like Dion a lot. He hasn't been terrible, but he's not the pitcher he was a few years ago. And just some extra insurance in case McAfee does just continue to get injured. So those are the deliberations I'm going to have, and I'll do that offline. But at least I wanted to kind of get past that All-Star break, show you how well we're playing. I think we're in a really good spot right now, but we've got to make sure that we don't leave too many holes, or any holes really, in this team for the second half of the season. But as always, thanks for watching. We'll come back next episode like we usually do. I'll be probably the last 20 games or so in September. Hopefully we'll be making another playoff run. This team's looking strong. I don't know if we've got enough to get past Arizona if we make the playoffs, but I'm surprised at how well we've played so far. Could be our year, knock on wood. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next episode.